Manifesting a text message from your specific person is just as easy as manifesting marriage. Because if we take a look at both of these, so text message and marriage, we're going to say one is small. We're going to think the text message is really small, really easy. And the marriage is really big and it's really difficult. But really, we know through the law of assumption, all of our manifestations are alive within us. So, who is telling us that one thing is small and one thing is big, right? This is all an illusion. So, then if we think of it that way, the illusions of something small are the same as the illusions of something big. And the difficulties are all within these illusions because both are unreal. So, by this thought process, and this is coming from A Course in Miracles, manifesting a text message is just as easy as manifesting marriage. Because really, is it harder to dispel the hallucination of something large as compared to something small? You would say no. When you're having a hallucination, when you're imagining something that you don't want, like difficulties, it's just as easy to say, oh, this large thing is not real as compared to this small thing. So when we are viewing marriage and texting, it's the same thing. We're viewing marriage as this really hard, this really difficult thing, but that's all a hallucination in the same as the difficulties of the text message. But normally, we think it's so easy to just dispel the difficulties of the text message, right? And so I would have to ask you, would you agree more quickly to the unreality of a louder voice as compared to a softer one? Or what about a whisper as compared to a shout? If you just imagined a whisper and imagined a shout, wouldn't those be just as easy to get rid of as the other? So then, by this thinking, is it easier to dispel the disbelief of not receiving a text message as compared to the disbelief of marriage? And most of us are going to say, yes, I see exactly what that means, but still we're viewing marriage as being more difficult. And let's take a look at how we view both of those. So let's say we take a look at manifesting a text message from our specific person. How are we going to describe that? How quick do you feel you can manifest a text message? And you're going to say so fast, so quick, so easy, or if not, it's much more easier than the other counterpart of marriage. But it's most likely due to the fact that we are so familiar with that sort of thing. But how do we view marriage? Okay. Sometimes it's unknown. Some people I've helped have been manifesting and are actually married to their specific person looking for a better relationship or have been married in the past. But we view it as very difficult and very final. So we need to remember we are bringing these illusions and hallucinations into the mix based upon our own perceptions. And we know for a fact that not everyone has the same perceptions, right? So not everyone is viewing marriage in the same way. Not everyone is viewing texting in the same way, but still we have this illusionary thought process that one is more difficult than the other. Because I bet you any money, there's someone watching right now that feels they can manifest communication better than marriage. And there's also someone who feels they can manifest marriage better than communication. Like seriously, comment that down below. There will be people in this video watching this right now that are thinking that. And so remember then, how does that make sense if it were this logical thing that we were abiding by or laws in our reality? That doesn't make sense at all. It should be then if a text is really easy in perception and a marriage is really difficult, then those should be that same way for literally everyone. But it's our belief in the fact that there is a difference, okay? And I want you to think about how, and I'm going to skip a little bit further ahead, which you guys don't even know, because I was planning to say this later, but our eyes can only see differences, okay? Your eyes are constantly looking for differences and differences in perception, and it's trying to meet that whatever we're thinking, our eyes are trying to then find that. So instead of seeing with our eyes, because again, we may think I have a lack of something or an abundance of something, your eyes are only seeing the 3D that have after the fact manifested. So by the time your eyes are seeing them, it has manifested already. Okay. So then in that case, we want to see within our mind. And going back to the concept, illusions are just that. They are entirely illusions. In the same way that we assume and think a larger thing casts a shadow on a smaller thing. In this metaphor, we may imagine marriage as this huge thing, right? That's casting this enormous shadow onto a text message because the text is just so easy to manifest, right? But I want you to imagine it this way. I want you to imagine maybe like a beam of light, okay? And let's say I'm using the AirPods as it. Think of maybe this light behind me. As you take this highlighter and you take it closer to this light, what happens to the shadow? And you're going to say, as I move closer, look at on the wall, even on the wall, the closer you move it, the larger the shadow is perceived. Okay, keep that in mind. And shadows are not real. Darkness doesn't exist. Really, light is the only thing in existence. And so anytime, and it's the same thing with negative thoughts and negative ideas, the only thing that exists is positivity, and the darkness or negativity is an illusion. A shadow is not a substance, right? It's just a lack of light. And so we know shadows are not real. But as you move then this closer to the light, the shadow, you can already see it on the wall, is casted at a larger, it looks extremely large, okay, as compared to the shadow of something else, something smaller, okay, which they're kind of the same size. But anyway, the only reason that we're actually perceiving this to be larger as a shadow in comparison is because it's closer to the light. But I want you to imagine the light represents your true self, your true desires, and what you truly want. Okay, so as something is closer to that, the larger the shadow and the more perceived is going to be the illusion of difficulty in receiving that, only because we care about it so much. Think about it this way. When you are manifesting someone, how much easier is it to talk to a random person on the street as compared to your specific person? You're going to say it's so much easier to talk to someone random on the street. And when I'm talking to my specific person, I get nervous, I'm sweaty, I'm stumbling my words, right? That's what happens because our specific person is then closer to the light of our value and thus casting a larger shadow. And so we are perceiving it to be larger. But as you take these two objects and you bring them together, you'll notice, I mean, they're not exactly the same size, but they cast the same exact size shadow. The shadow was only ever an illusion. There is no shadow at all, technically, if we're saying that the shadow is like the concept of difficulty. They are exactly the same. So manifesting a text is just as easy as manifesting marriage if we can get over this illusion. And I want you to think about it this way. Think about what's behind that door. Is it just as easy to think that there is a kitten behind that door as compared to a polar bear? We'd be like, yeah, right? Just as easy. How easy is it to get rid of that idea? And you'd be like, also really easy, easier to get rid of a kitten, or the same ease to get rid of this idea that there's a polar bear as compared to a kitten, right? Because it's all within our concept of selves and in our mind, right? It's in our assumptions and in our beliefs. That's how your reality works. And I won't go too deep into it because I made a whole video about this, but I also want you to remember everything happening is always outside of our like conscious 3D eyes seeing it. Remember, the eyes are only seeing and comparing because we're seeing things around us. Everything that is outside of our conscious awareness, what's behind that door, what's outside your house, right? What's happening in the city, all of that happens outside within our imagination, basically in our assumptions. So in that case, we can assume and believe whatever it is that we want because it's all in this quantum state that we can then pick exactly what we're desiring. So always remember, two things are everything is the exact same difficulty, and that is the difficulty is 0 because the difficulty is totally a hallucination. And so I want to mention again, think of the concept, does everyone think the same way as you about marriage and communication? And we're going to say no. And I say, well, why not? Right? Why don't they? And you'd say perceptions, assumptions, things like that. So I do have a couple success stories that I want to put up here. The first one, and I want you to see what the difference is. So the first one is from my email coaching, and the second one is from a weekly coaching session that I did. So we just met up each and every week. So look at the email coaching. They said, so your coaching works miracles because he already reached out. So they manifested communication from their specific person really quickly after we started coaching, right? Awesome, amazing success story. And on this side, we have, hi Kyle. So my SB called me to hang out yesterday for the first time in almost a year. So a year of not hanging out, not meeting up. We start coaching, they reach out. This is a perfect manifestation. Would you say that either of these is harder or easier than the other? Instantly, we're probably thinking, well, SP not reaching out for a year, that seems harder. But they are not. They are the same level of difficulty as each other. And I know I could also go into another video of like the background behind these manifestations, but I just wanted to bring up two quick little manifestation success stories of two things manifested that are seemingly much different. One's communication, one's hanging out after a year of no contact, but they are the same. They were produced with the same assumption, the same belief, and one may think the other one is more difficult, but the difficulties is all an illusion. You can manifest a text message as easy as you can manifest marriage. You can manifest a text message as easy as you can manifest out of 1 year of no contact. So thanks again so much for stopping by today. I know this idea was kind of really philosophical, but hopefully you are totally understanding your power. If you did have any questions or comments, leave them down below. Remember, you can also reach out to me on my website at kyleaugustcoaching.com if you wanted to send me a personal message that you didn't want to comment down below. Thanks again so much for stopping by. Again, a reminder, all my members, tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern time, we are going live and we're meeting up and I'm going to be answering everyone's questions. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the meditation that I posted yesterday of your wedding day, the guided meditation. Let me know what you guys thought about that in the comments. And if you haven't checked it out already, I definitely would. Thanks again so much for stopping by, and I'll see you in the next video tomorrow.